Hi, and welcome to Still Her. I am Anna Grace, and this space is all about finding your spark outside of motherhood and connecting to who you are in this new season of life. I am a toddler mom. I am really, over the past couple of months, I've really been feeling that itch now that we are, we're sleeping a little bit better. That postpartum fog isn't as strong. Our toddler's finding some independence. I've really been feeling this itch to really develop systems and habits that are supportive of really just being the most confident version of myself in this season, and figuring out what excites me, like who I am in this season, because as like anyone who's become a parent knows that your entire identity shifts when you become a parent. And it's not even necessarily that whole feeling of like, oh, parenting is now my entire personality. It is a huge part of who you are, but there is a piece of you that just feels like you are a totally different person, whether it is just the itch to just throw out all of your clothes and start fresh with a new wardrobe because it feels like none of your clothes are the same style anymore. You're wanting to chop your hair, just you're wanting something to change. And it's because you really do feel like that there's an identity shift in postpartum. So basically this whole series is supporting that, is really figuring out in this new season, what actually is that spark in you that really brings confidence. It makes you feel less chaotic and more calm, and just really just leaning into who this new version of yourself is. And that's something I've really been craving figuring out for myself. And so I figured, let's just open this up to see, who else wants to do this together, because motherhood also community makes a huge difference in that. So with this series, there definitely is some required game planning. First off is just getting into reflection and just getting realistic about the resources at play, whether that is time, help, finances, whatever resources are actually at hand to help support each phase of this challenge. So next, we're going to ask ourselves, what makes me feel the most me? What makes me feel the most like myself, whether that is getting out in nature, whether that is wearing a certain outfit that makes me feel amazing, whether that is doing a certain type of fitness that makes me feel excited, different hobbies to pursue. I mean, what makes me feel like me? Like during the past couple of years postpartum, that when I have done that thing, it just I feel that just like light up inside that makes me want to pursue that even more. Just writing down those things and just brainstorming those things to go into. And then figuring out and really sitting down and deciding, why do I want to do this challenge? Why am I doing this? Why does it matter to me to do this? Like, will getting my spark back, how will that impact my life? How will that impact my family? And what will the impact be on my life, myself, my family if I don't do this? So that's kind of a big piece of the reflection, is just making sure that you have a strong enough vision and motivation to actually show up, because it's hard. Showing up during motherhood is really, really difficult because you're experiencing barriers that you've never experienced before. It used to be a little, if you wanted to work out in the morning, it was, okay, let me just set my alarm. And if I hit snooze, it's 100% on me. But when you become a parent, it can be, your kid wakes up 15 times in the middle of the night, or like bedtime was an absolute nightmare, or like, just there can be all sorts of different barriers, or your kid wakes up mid-workout and you have to just jump back into that. Like, there's so many different barriers that I never fully understood until becoming a parent. And the thing is, that doesn't necessarily mean that, you can't pursue the things that matter. It doesn't mean that, things aren't possible. It just means that there are challenges at play that are different. So there's, having backup plans, being willing to pivot, it just makes a big difference with your approach, and how, this kind of challenge is set up, because it's not going to look the same every day. It's going to look a little bit different each day, and we have to be open to change. So the setup of the challenge, there are going to be multiple phases, and basically the way those phases are set up is Each phase is going to be 1 month and then building on that. So like whether it's starting a habit during that phase, then continuing that habit through the following phases and doing whatever the next phase is, or it could just be a one-time habit for that phase in general. So some of the habits are going to be buildable, and this is just the way I'm personally setting it up. Again, this is not something that you have to feel like you have to do too, exactly the way that I do it. Everybody's life is going to look a little bit different because everyone's parenting journey is a little different. But this is the way that I'm setting it up for myself personally. And the way that any trackers I put out are going to be kind of modeled as. But phase 1 is focusing on inner work. So really focusing on developing good fitness routine, developing good nutritional habits, planning meals, somewhat level of meal prepping. I hate actual meal prepping, so it's going to look a little bit different than that. Focusing on mindset and journaling and doing all the things that I know in the past have worked over the past couple of years, have worked extremely well for me. And making them work in a way that I'm going to be able to be consistent, because these are all January is very much set habits that are going to be carried over into into all the phases, because I really want to set a really strong base for being able to be consistent through the rest of, or with the things that actually matter, at its absolute base level. Phase 2 is external confidence. Once after becoming a parent, my entire concept of what I think is attractive to me in terms of fashion, in terms of makeup, in terms of hair, all of those things that I see in other people that I'm drawn to have shifted entirely. So, and I look in my closet and I'm like, oh, I don't really like a lot of this. So phase 2 is really about that, developing that external confidence, because that matters too. I want to feel put together when I go out in public. So that's kind of, learning base hairstyles that aren't just laying it straight, learning basic makeup tips, and really mastering those and getting consistent with actually doing those things and doing a little bit of shifting with my wardrobe. I'm not trying to blow the budget just buying a whole new wardrobe and completely revamping. So I'm going to be going through and seeing what I like in my own closet. And here's the thing too, where it's important that these are buildable habits. Those January habits of sticking with fitness and nutrition, one thing I have noticed so big time over the past 2.5 years is that if I am doing the things that make my body feel good, whether that's working out, eating foods that make me feel good, doing those things consistently, regardless of what my body size is, I feel good in a dressing room. But when I am not doing those things, when I'm not doing the things that make my body just feel good, has nothing to do, again, it has nothing to do with appearance, I feel good in a dressing room. But when I'm not doing those things, I have a harder time. And that's something that has been really consistent across the board for me. And I throughout being a fluctuation of sizes postpartum, whether that's being in a bigger size body than I was used to pre-pregnancy and being in a smaller body, throughout those fluctuations, that's the consistent piece that I've noticed is if I'm not doing those things, that's why I'm saving this for phase 2. And I'm not just starting with just getting getting a whole new wardrobe and starting with doing all those things. I'm waiting for phase 2 with that because of the fact that I really, really, really want to get in those good habits that make me feel good in my body. Regardless of whether or not I've hit any sort of aesthetic goals with my fitness. So yeah, those pieces, I'm going to see what works in my closet. I'm going to see what is even my style at that point. And really look through how I can make what I have in my closet that I like work, and what simple pieces I need to upgrade. So that'll be all phase 2 stuff. Phase 3 is all about just finding the fun. So really focusing on hobbies, creativity, relationships, getting together for girls' nights, and really like making those things a priority and like figuring out what hobbies I'm excited about, trying new things, putting myself out there with that, and just really like trying to dive into the creative side and see what sparks joy over there. Phase 4 is our home. We just moved into a house for the first time. We've been in an apartment for probably 7 years prior to that. So we're really learning like how to navigate being in a home, whether that's cleaning habits, whether that's just, decorating the home, making it just feel inviting, like just making it feel really good. And one thing I've always really, really wanted is for my home to be a just like stop on by atmosphere, where friends and family just feel like they can call us and be like, hey, I'm in the neighborhood. Just wanted to stop by and say, hey, and like, I'm not feeling like I'm just completely scrambling, trying to like clean and like get things together because it's just messy. Like there is a certain level of messy that it's going to be because of the fact that we have a toddler, but there's a way to navigate that where it still feels comfortable for people to come over and just to be able to actually like welcome people into our home, and just little touches to do that. So that's the final step in the phase. Whether or not there will be more phases is up to, we'll see how it goes. But as of right now, I really only want to focus on 12 weeks and really just diving into making this work and just like feeling really good and sparking joy in motherhood and just really feeling excited about showing up every single day. So starting this challenge in the new year, and if you want to join in, come hang out on Instagram. We're going to get a little more specific with it. I'll still be doing videos over here on YouTube, but the like really specific pieces of the challenge will be over on Instagram, so make sure you follow along. So thanks for watching.